Welcome to the Smack Happy Design Videocast, where we explore all things web and marketing. With your hosts, Nicole and Danielle.
Hi, welcome to episode number 20. I'm Nicole.
I'm Danielle.
I'm Angela.
And I just want to remind our audience that we'll be taking some notes, so you can just sit back, relax, and listen. And if you want to download our notes, you can do that at smackhappy.com/videos. Today our guest is Angela Duns, a LinkedIn consultant and strategist. Welcome, Angela.
Well, thanks for having me, Nicole. I'm really excited about sharing what I know about LinkedIn.
Yeah, we're excited to talk to you about this too, because we had a session with you, just the three of us, and that was so informative. So I can't wait to share what you have to offer with our guest, or not guests, you're the guest, with our audience.
Well, they're also guests.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
We're all guests here in this little world of the video cast.
True. So can you introduce yourself a little further so everyone knows more about you?
Well, I came to entrepreneurship through the back door. I moved out to San Francisco with a shiny new MBA and, of course, didn't get hired here in San Francisco without 10 to 15 years of experience at that exact title and knowing someone on the inside. So my answer to that was to take a risk and start my own business. And it really started as a side gig, just really for fun, teaching at the Renaissance Center. And before I knew what was happening, it was a business. So it's kind of interesting how that whole journey has gone. And I'm so glad that I didn't get that corporate job and was able to start my own business and have, I work from home. I have autonomy in my business. I get to do the kind of work that I love. So entrepreneurship is definitely fun, and LinkedIn is definitely my favorite platform.
Oh, that's a really cool story about how you got into it. I love that.
Thanks.
So tell us about why LinkedIn is so important these days, and maybe also why you love it so much.
LinkedIn is really interesting. I love social media. I'm all over Facebook. I have a NFL page on Facebook that's super active and really fun. But LinkedIn is a completely different animal. I love LinkedIn because it is a professional platform. You're not going to see somebody's lunch or what their kids did in Girl Scouts and that sort of thing. It's really streamlined to be business. Whether you're a job seeker or you're trying to establish connections B2B or B2C, it is the professional platform. The way things are set up right now with SEO, if you don't have a really great optimized website, the first thing that's going to pop up if somebody searches for you is your LinkedIn profile. Now, I consider that an incredible opportunity. So who has control of your LinkedIn profile? And how easy is the access to your LinkedIn profile? You can have that LinkedIn profile say anything you want it to say, and have it completely optimized for how your business shifts. And these days, businesses shift. My business, every 3 months, it seems like it's going in a completely different direction. And I can respond to that myself without having to call a web designer like yourself to update my entire website. So I think if you're not on LinkedIn, you're hurting yourself in the SEO. You really aren't popping up as soon in a search, and you're hurting your credibility by not being on a professional platform. So if you are B2B, 67% of people who are making sales decisions are checking people out on LinkedIn, and they're looking for recommendations from their network. So if you're not there, and one thing that I see when I work with clients all the time is that they haven't even updated LinkedIn to their current position. And especially if they're an entrepreneur, they haven't added that entrepreneur job. It still says whatever their last gig was, whether it was corporate or nonprofit or whatever it might have been. So people aren't leveraging LinkedIn in the way that they can, and people are looking for them. If you're B2C, people want to get to know who you are. They want to be able to trust you and like you before they give you money for your goods and services. So they're going to check you out on LinkedIn. They want to look at your picture. Are you friendly and approachable? Do you look professional? Do you take LinkedIn seriously? Because we really hold people that we're going to give a lot of money to for something to a different standard. We want to like them, we want them to be professional, and we want them to know exactly who they are and what they do. So I think some of the advantages of LinkedIn are wonderful. You get to show a little bit of your personality. I had a client yesterday ask me if he could be a little humorous in his LinkedIn summary. And I said, go for it. And he said, do you want to look at what I added to my summary? And he said something like, I'm the last one to panic when the coffee pot is empty. Well, yeah, I want to do business with you. That's hilarious. Now, that's not going to be interesting to everyone. But that shows that little something that makes you who you are. And it's not just what you do, but it's fit.
Yeah, and doing something like that, you're going to attract more of the people that will want to work with you because they like that kind of humor, right? As opposed to attracting people who don't like it, who just may end up being frustrated because you're like making jokes and stuff, right?
Right. LinkedIn is a wonderful opportunity to attract your ideal clients and really speak to the people you want to work with and attract the people you want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely good to know for a lot of, I guess maybe people who haven't used LinkedIn too much or who aren't sure how to use LinkedIn. And those people are kind of just maybe getting into social media. It's really interesting to know that, you could take your business and kind of have this other little piece of it exist outside of your website or whatever. Maybe you don't even have a website. I don't know. So it seems like a LinkedIn profile would be like the best place to start, especially for somebody who's just like digging into social media at that point.
I would say if you're only going to be in one place on the internet, LinkedIn would be the place to start. That's a place for you to experiment with some of the messaging. And, before you spend a lot of money on building a website, why not kick around a few ideas and see what's hitting and attracting the right clients? Even if you're a dog walker, I've had this conversation so many times. Why would I be on LinkedIn? That's not a platform for me. Well, who's on LinkedIn but professionals that don't have time to walk their own dog? They're looking for goods and services outside of the B2B, so you don't sell parts to Tesla. But you have a value-added service for people who are busy executives or even busy moms. And I'll tell you, if you have something that's peripheral to the business world, it's much more interesting. No one is on LinkedIn to get pitched to or to be sold to, but we are looking for solutions. And it's much more interesting for me to see, great, you read something about Business Insider or whatever Amazon is doing, wonderful. I'm a lot more interested, what are people doing on the weekend? What are the interesting things out there for workshops, entertainment, education? Those types of things that most people think are peripheral to LinkedIn are really the most popular to be viewed in the news feed.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I also remember you telling us when we chatted with you about being authentic.
Yes, this is a wonderful question. Thanks for the lead in, Nicole. LinkedIn, the kiss of death on LinkedIn is being generic photos, verbiage that is aimed at the general public. LinkedIn is a lot more about showing your particular personality, especially if you're a real estate agent, a coach, a financial planner. There's gazillions of them in this space. So you really have to stand out. And you have to show what your personality is, clarity, and being able to communicate exactly what you do. And then secondly, how you do it is really the way to be successful on LinkedIn. Now, the catch-22 of this is you have to know who you are as a professional. You have to know exactly what problem it is that you solve, and the way that you do your special something something, that nobody else has that quality, that characteristic, for what you do. So yes, knowing who you are, and this is something, I'm an introvert, and so social media is a love-hate relationship to start out with for me. So it's taken me a lot of trial and error to really feel into what is my personality in my business and on social media. So it's not something that you're going to be successful at day one, unless you do a lot of work behind the scenes on figuring out what is your messaging. You know, knowing your niche and knowing your audience are very helpful, but it's also helpful to know what is your style and your tone and your voice. There are gazillions of LinkedIn specialists. And until I decided that what I really do is lead generation, it was difficult for me to compete in the market. So you really have to figure out what it is that you do. I don't have a system or a program or, you do this and you'll get 10 leads tomorrow. I don't work that way. I really work with what people already have in place and try to expand that to a new platform in a way that's going to create a lot of clarity for their ideal clients. So what I do is much more specialized. And if I can communicate that, it makes sense to people. But if I just say, oh, I'm a LinkedIn consultant and I can help you with blah, 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 that's not very interesting. You have to be really specific about what it is that you do.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also nice to be encouraged to just be yourself and like do your thing. That's also a little relieving, I think, in a way.
And,
Yes.
I think a great deal of what I do is really give people permission to be on LinkedIn in their own unique way. So it really is a lot of coaching and hand-holding. And I think that's what I love about my work the most, is that when I see people get comfortable and the light bulbs all go on and they're like, oh, it's really just that easy. That's what really, that makes me really happy.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty awesome. So what are some of the key things that one should have on their profile?
Well, here in the Bay Area, we're in the savviest market in the world for social media because we're at ground zero. So people get judged for very simple things on the LinkedIn profile. So I would say the first and most important thing is to have a great profile photo. Does it have to be taken by a professional photographer? No, but it must be professional looking. Is it recent? Does it look like you? Is it your current hair color and the glasses that you wear? And by the way, glasses are hot on LinkedIn. Don't not wear your glasses in your profile photo if that's what you wear all the time. And then have a background photo. Super important to have something in that background photo space. And does it matter what it is? Not precisely. It can be leveraged to give you more credibility and help your business, but at least have something. If you Google LinkedIn background photos and go to images, there are so many beautiful ones that you can use for free that are exactly formatted for that really interesting space. So it's really easy to pop in a background photo. Next thing you really want to think about is your headline. Does your headline say, I help you with the bottom line? Well, that's great. Everybody wants help with their bottom line, or almost everyone. But how do you do that? What is it that you do? Be really clear. A title is not as interesting as creating systems for your business to run smoothly. Increasing efficiencies by 20%. Say something that really gets to your target market. I say that I do lead generation for small businesses. That's pretty clear what I do. They can easily decide, is this what I'm looking for? Or is this not what I'm looking for? So don't make them work so hard at finding out what it is that you do. If they need to spend 20 seconds, several minutes looking through your profile before they figure out what it is that you do, they're on to the next profile. So say it very clearly in your headline. Another thing that's really important is optimization. So making sure that your URL, your unique address on LinkedIn, is customized for your name or your business. Make sure that you have keywords dropped in throughout your profile. I was recently working with someone who used to be he did technical copywriting, and now he does organization development. Well, because he had so many different positions as a technical writer, he was still getting hits from all kinds of people for technical writing. It's not what he wants to attract people for anymore. So we had to change some of the wording and change some of the descriptions for his past experiences, so they made a case for where he is now rather than getting him hits for what he formerly did. So thinking about that keyword optimization. Generally, when I work with people, their worst section is their skills section. Hasn't been updated since they joined LinkedIn. So it has all kinds of keywords buried in there for things that they formerly did, but what they no longer want to be hired for. So the skills section it's a freebie for SEO. That's where you bury all of your great keywords so that you're being found for the right thing. So looking at your skills section is an easy place to start, because you can easily, I don't do that anymore, I'm going to delete it. It's really easy to just clean things up and streamline them for what you do now. And then the summary, don't start out with, I have 30 years experience doing blah, blah, blah. On LinkedIn, it's really about your prospective client. You want to speak to them immediately. Your experience is important, but that goes in the second paragraph. First paragraph of your summary should be, what is the problem that you solve? How do you solve that problem? And maybe a story, an example of how you've helped someone else. Until you tell people how you can help them, they're not interested. So start out with something titillating. Tell them, ask them some questions that get to what their exact pain or problem is that you would help them solve. Like for organizational development, are you having problems getting your teams to work together and be productive? Much more interesting than, I just graduated with an organization development degree and I'm trying to get started.
Yeah.
That was one interesting thing that somebody actually told me to take off of my resume was when I graduated. Say where you graduated from, of course, if you want to be, proud of where you graduated from. But that was one thing. I think people judge you a lot. Like you were saying, when you came to San Francisco, you didn't have like 15 years experience in that one thing, but that doesn't mean you're not great at what you do. So it's kind of like the same idea as like on LinkedIn, someone's judging you in just a few minutes about whether they want to pursue you or not. And one thing that also came to mind when you were talking was people that might not know exactly who they are just yet, or maybe, who they're talking to or how they want to say what they want to say. They can always explore a buyer persona too, because if you're treating your LinkedIn profile similarly to like a website, your mini website, it's the same idea. So kind of like getting that little sheet, this is for you. This is not for, to share with anybody or anything like that. Well, your team, if you have a team. But this is for, the buyer persona is for you to look at, to understand, hey, okay, I'm going to talk to this person and this is the voice I'm going to use. And this is what they're interested in hearing about and that kind of thing. So I was thinking too, like if someone isn't quite sure how to like start writing the summary or, figuring out what skills they want to promote, maybe like starting also with, creating a buyer persona. And it's really easy. You could mean, you could find it stuff on our website, or you could just Google how to create a buyer persona. And it, like you said, it's really easy to just kind of find some things and put some things together. You don't have to have, a ton of resources or even time to do that kind of thing. But I think that'd be really helpful for somebody who might be like, that's great, but I don't know what to write or something like that. So just a thought while you were talking, I thought that might be helpful to supplement the LinkedIn profile strategy.
That's a great point. And because when I work with someone, I really teach who is your target market. And a lot of people, when they come to me, it's because they do have a lot of vagueness about what it is and a lot of confusion and frustration. They aren't getting the sales that they want, and marketing is just not their thing. Entrepreneurs have 3 categories. One of them they're going to be terrible at: marketing, sales, and bookkeeping. One of those above categories they're going to be terrible at. And LinkedIn can't help you with the bookkeeping. It could help you find a bookkeeper, but it can help you with the sales and the marketing. So it's a great place to use a buyer persona or go through a target market worksheet. Do something. On my profile, I have included a writing activity that also should be helpful on getting at some of the juicy material that will help with that summary. It asks questions about, what's an accomplishment that you're the most proud of? It kind of changes the whole ideas. A lot of people say, I don't know what to say in the summary. I haven't done anything interesting. And you start talking to them and they've done these amazing things that they've forgotten about and they don't know how to express. So yes, getting out of your own head and talking with people or doing a writing exercise or that buyer persona is a great place to start. And there are several layers of keywords that will come out of this. There are the keywords on what you do that's different than somebody else, and also the keywords that your target market is looking for. Those search words that they're going to use to find you. So there's a couple layers of optimization.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how we were talking just recently, Nicole and I, about saying things about yourself out loud that you're proud of,
Love that.
A lot of people, I guess, have trouble with that. I guess it's sort of a common problem. We were talking more about, women and everything and how it's sort of, how to speak up, during meetings and just kind of speak up about your accomplishments and what you're proud of and, being proud of yourself. And it makes me think of the things that you're saying, to add to the profile that might be sort of like out of the box or like something that someone wouldn't think of when they're thinking,
yes.
I'm going to write this businessy profile. I don't want to talk about how I was a competitive board gamer. You know what I mean? But somebody might think that'd be interesting. Like, oh, wow, that person's kind of strange and I like that, or whatever. But
outside of the box is great because you never know what other skills someone else is looking for that might really enhance. If people come to me from industries that I really don't have a lot of knowledge about, IT or financial planning. So where is the intersection between what you do and what they do?
Yeah.
You never know.
Part of that human connection and just finding the different sort of things that you might have in common. And I know that seems really hard. Maybe it's easier said than done, but like you said, once you start doing it and once you start talking about it and answering questions that, like you said, you had on your profile for people to go and look at, you start getting these light bulbs that go off and, it's just doing it, the action and trying something and, the process of doing it even brings out even more, I think.
And I think part of the bottom line is that all over the globe, business is personal. We're going back to a different method of doing business. And LinkedIn is that place where you can really show what is your quirky business personality. What are some of your interests? The volunteer section is really important because a lot of people want to see what causes and values you have, and your volunteer activities will speak of that loud and clear. Especially if you worked for Big Brothers Big Sisters or Guide Dogs for the Blind. Fuzzies and Furries and kid organizations are really great. People resonate with that. It puts you in a different category of a person. You're automatically a giver. You're a community-based problem solver. It just puts things in, it just gives everything a different feel and a different type of connection.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So if you wanted to give the audience just do this just one thing, at least this one thing, what would that one thing be?
Be real on LinkedIn. Just be real.
Mm-hmm.
None of us wants to see any of that fakey fake posturing, super polished. I just got an award. We don't care. Not as much. But tell me about your struggles. That will grab my attention much quicker than the last award you got. Be real. Be real. Not just the awards. The awards are great. That's wonderful. That does speak to your credibility. But speak about your struggles as well. You never know who might step in with amazing resources to help you out and where the support will come from. And make social media social. And that means be the full picture, not just the woohoo, I just got this, or I just did this, or I just launched this. But talk about the back end of things as well.
I like that. I could definitely do more of that myself.
We all could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people struggle with too, business owners, they struggle with the whole social versus selling their business on social media, which is always frustrating for me because it's a very hard thing to explain to someone who thinks they already have it in their head. Oh yeah, this is what we do on social media. This is what I want out of it. And there are some differences, in between social media and what you do on other business platforms or whatever. But that's something that I think we've all been trying to do. At Smack Happy, just be more we're just going to tell you what we think about some stuff and why we think it and why we dislike this or, why this might be important for you to understand or something. I mean, we're just trying to be honest about what we do. And we actually just did sort of a passion piece that has nothing to do with website stuff, I guess. I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, we've been trying to do a little bit more of that too, and just kind of voice our opinion a little bit. But, we're trying. Well, and everyone's trying.
And selling on LinkedIn is really, it's just, what do you do? And then educate people about a specific problem. It's really not selling. It's providing solutions for different problems. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. I think the thing that sells the most is when people share some of their real experiences. I worked with a real estate agent, broker up in Sonoma County, and every once in a while they do something really quirky, like Margarita Day, and here's the 5 best places in Sonoma to get a margarita. Well, how endearing is that if you like margaritas, even if you don't? It's just different. She also is the #1 seller for, there's a program, Homes for Heroes. And she's the #1 seller in the United States for Homes for Heroes. It's a program for veterans, teachers, service workers to get them into their first home. And every time she gives the keys to someone of a new home that she's gotten, she shows pictures of that. There's Circle of 100. It's a circle of women that is getting together soon up in Sonoma County. Each of them lays down a $100 bill, and they hear from several nonprofits. And then at the end of the night, they award that money to 2 nonprofits. So those things get her more business than when she posts a listing. or a video tour of a listing. Those get her way more business, or the golf outing that they do for charity. So yes, it's be social. A lot of people are like, "Ooh, what's appropriate on LinkedIn?" And, "Oh, I can't do that." And ask a couple people and see what they think, and then go with your gut.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So I have one last fun question for you before we completely wrap up here. So what inspires you most?
I think, there's a lot of things that inspire me. I love to be creative, but I think at the end of the day, it's really collaborating. It's working with other people. And, my ideas might be great in my own head, but somehow when you start to share with a client or a colleague or just somebody at one of the organizations you volunteer at, when you start sparking ideas around the room with other people, they get to be something that's way bigger and way more powerful than they were in your own head. So I would have to say collaboration is the thing that inspires me most.
Oh, that's awesome. I know what you mean, because when I started, building my team, and the first time we were like showing designs from like a couple different team members, and the client had a hard time choosing between the 3 designs. That was the coolest feeling ever. I'm like, why was I working alone for so long?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I can totally appreciate that. Definitely better having more brains involved.
It's more fun. Sometimes it's frustrating, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So thank you so much for joining us, Angela. Can you please let our audience know how they can find you?
Please look for me on LinkedIn and connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me questions that you might have or run things by me. Definitely go to my summary and download some of the resources that I have there for lead generation. I have a profile checklist and a writing activity. Help yourself to those. Those are a great starting point if you're just getting back to LinkedIn or you're just getting started on LinkedIn. The bulk of my clients these days are telling me, I was hoping it would go away, but it hasn't. So can we get this done today? That, late to the party and underdressed, and can we get this done in 10 seconds? So it's a good place to start. It takes time, and it's never done. You're constantly changing it. So give yourself permission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true in so many aspects of business. You're never really done.
Yes. Everything online
Yeah.
should always, it's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
All right. Thanks again, Angela.
And you're so welcome. It was so fun, Nicole.
Yeah. Thank you to our audience for joining the Smack Happy video cast. We aim to help elevate your business through real life experiences and advice.
Until next time, see ya.
Thank you for listening to the Smack Happy Design videocast. For more information and downloads, visit smackhappy.com/videocast, where you'll find more episodes and the opportunity to subscribe on YouTube or iTunes. You can also sign up for our newsletter delivered to your inbox monthly. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and colleagues. Again, that's smackhappy.com/videocast. See you next time.